Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us once again for our daily English news edition. As usual, I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting a translated version of today's top news stories as prepared by the Aura News journalist team. The decriminalization law was the primary topic of discourse in today's weekly plenary session. A short time ago, the parties reached a consensus on the law, but that did not stop the harsh arguments and accusations in Parliament today. The former Prime Minister Sali Berisha said that the law is a positive step, but that it cannot be considered complete until it includes the drug test proposed by the opposition. He continued with his accusations against the government, saying that it is held hostage and controlled by the organized crime in the country. The Interior Minister Saimir Tahiri spoke about the necessity of adopting the law as a form of apology to the Albanian people. He believes that the problem of the criminals in Parliament is resolved, but he blamed the justice system for creating a culture of impunity. The Socialist MP MP Blushi spoke today in the plenary session, sharing his thoughts on the decriminalization law. He was very harsh in his criticism of the Albanian political class in general and suggested that the parties publicly apologize to the people for incriminating the parliament and the state institutions. He said, "The incriminated did not enter Parliament by vote. They were imposed on us by force by the parties. The responsibility belongs to those who brought them into Parliament, and the problem is that by becoming MPs, councillors, and by holding public offices, these people have become the role models for society. The Albanian Parliament is telling the youth to sell drugs, to commit murder, to be involved in trafficking, because this is the way for you to become an MP. This is the cost of our society. We have created the model that we are trying to punish today." He continued, "This law will not be complete until we have taken care of the source of the crime. The parties are the source of the crime in the Assembly. The parties of our Parliament are not democratic at all. They have turned into for-profit enterprises. This is the reason that there are more bad pupils than teachers in this Parliament," said Mr. Blushi. A protest was held today outside of the Parliament building by the former politically persecuted of the communist era. Demanding compensation, they clashed with police officers while trying to force their way into Parliament with eggs in their hands. The police arrested one of them. The head of their association has invited all of those who are not satisfied with the government to join in their protest. The formerly persecuted gave warning about escalating their protests if their demands for compensation are not fulfilled. In China for an official visit, Prime Minister Edi Rama announced the finalization of an agreement with the Chinese company, China State Construction, for the continuation of the work on Arbor Road. The Chinese company has won the right to build 26.94 kilometers of Arbor Road, which is going to be 65 kilometers long. The agreement had already been adopted in Parliament, but the work had been suspended for the company to request more funding from the World Bank because of the difficult terrain. The finalization of the agreement now seems to have ended this stalemate, and the cost of the project is estimated to be 36 billion lek. A second agreement with China is for the construction of the Blue Corridor, another road project that is intended to connect the region. In addition to discussing these two agreements with the Chinese Prime Minister, Rama also discussed the opportunities to increase the presence of Chinese companies in the area of Spitala, which is a free economic area for foreign investors. The Chinese Prime Minister expressed interest in the port infrastructure of Albania and in importing Albanian agricultural products like olive oil. Also during his visit, Prime Minister Rama participated in an economic summit between China and Central and Eastern Europe and a meeting organized by the Chinese president for the heads of participating countries. The Czech ambassador said today that the lack of an effective justice system in Albania is one of the main reasons that people are trying to leave the country. He said that until a functional system is in place, Albania is wasting its investments. Mrs. Tomasova said, "Albania is wasting a lot of money and investment opportunities because of non-functional justice system. For sure, this is one of the reasons the Albanian youth do not want to live here anymore. The recent surveys show that the youth prefer to live abroad rather than in Albania. Only functioning courts and prosecution can strengthen the justice and the rule of law. The Czech diplomat encouraged the adoption of the reform as quickly as possible. She went on, "The aim of the reform is the establishment of a functional justice system in which political interventions are not possible. The aim is to establish a system that corrupt prosecutors and judges cannot be part of. Nothing can be done without the adoption of the reform," declared Ambassador Tomasova. The justice reform is one of the conditions for the integration of Albania into the EU, and the internationals have been encouraging its adoption with wide consensus. Still on his visit to Italy, the Assembly Speaker Ilir Meta was received today by the President of the Italian Senate, Pietro Grasso. They talked about increasing the cooperation between the countries on important economic projects like the TAP pipeline. They both indicated willingness to increase cooperation in banking, energy, and infrastructure. And Mr. Grasso had this to say, "I appreciate the role of Albania in the Balkans. We are always ready to help Albania advance on its integration path, because we believe that with the right reforms, the Albanians have a place, or the Balkans have a place in the European Union." On his part, Meta said that Italy is the primary economic partner of Albania, and that when Italy is strengthened, it has a positive effect on Albania's development and economic stability. Regarding the integration process, Mr. Meta stated that Albania is currently focused on the justice reform, which will pave the way to the opening of negotiations for EU membership. Somewhat earlier, Meta also held a meeting with the chairman of the Commission of EU Politics in the Italian Senate. The U.S. President Barack Obama sent a congratulatory message today to the President of Albania for the upcoming Independence Day. Mr. Obama's message was this: "On behalf of the American people, best wishes to you and the people of Albania on your Independence Day, this November 28th. This is also an occasion to reflect on the strong and enduring partnership the United States and Albania enjoy, as underscored by the signing of the U.S.-Albanian Strategic Partnership in April. The United States remains committed to assisting Albania in advancing on the path toward full Euro-Atlantic integration. I am grateful for Albania's contributions to fostering peace and stability in the Balkans and around the world. This includes Albania's valuable assistance as a member of the global coalition to counter ISIL and in countering violent extremism in the Balkans. On this and many other important areas, I look forward to deepening our cooperation in the years to come." The U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry also congratulated the Albanians for their 103rd anniversary of independence on November 28th. Mr. Kerry expressed the U.S. support for the reforms that Albania has undertaken so far to achieve its Euro-Atlantic aspirations. Mayor Veliaj announced today that the municipality will be returning to a project started by Edi Rama when he was the mayor, an underground parking at the Rania Park. Mr. Veliaj did not give any details about the project, except that around 1,000 vehicles will be able to park there. He believes that this project will greatly relieve the traffic on the main boulevard and the center of Tirana. He made the following statement: "The underground parking project will facilitate the flow of traffic in the center of Tirana. I think that the parking area will fit around 1,000 vehicles, which will significantly liberate the boulevard," he said. A similar project did exist years ago when Edi Rama was the mayor of Tirana, but it was never realized. That's the end of our edition for today. Thank you for choosing Aura News for daily Albanian updates in English. Have a great night and see you tomorrow.